Chapter 517, Taking Off the Veil, 1. Divine Realm, Flower Fairy's flower boat. Xiao Changtian sighed when he heard the flower fairy's words. Seeing Xiao Changtian sigh, the flower fairy was also concerned. Young master, could it be that there is something difficult to say? Then this servant will not inquire further. The flower fairy also knew about experts like Xiao Changtian. Updated on B0X and 0vil. He didn't want others to know about the matter. If he asked, it would be a waste of time and he would also make others unhappy. Xiao Changtian took a sip of tea and said to the flower fairy, "It's not a special reason. I came to the 100,000 mountains to find a place to stay. To avoid the dangers outside. If he wanted to establish his power in those densely populated areas, Tian would be a lesson for him." When the flower fairy heard Xiao Changshan's words, she was moved. To avoid the dangers outside, could this person be like him? In order to avoid the pressure from his family, he came to the 100,000 mountains to hide from the limelight. After all, the 100,000 mountains was known as a forbidden area. No one dared to come here. As she thought about this, the flower fairy slowly said to Xiao Changtian, "Young master, I won't hide it from you. In the same as you, I came here to avoid danger." Xiao Changtian nodded his head when he heard the flower fairy's words. Thinking about it, he could understand why they were going to stand on the sidelines. He had just thought that these women were sick. Their faces were covered with gauze and their skin was abnormally fair. If one person was like this, it was fine. But a group of people were like this. He must be sick and it was an infectious disease. Then, many people tried to capture her, wanting to conduct experiments on her. Otherwise, there was no need to hide on this flower boat. With this thought in mind, Xiao Changtian slowly said to the flower fairy, "Young lady, may I show you my face?" He had just arrived, so he would do whatever he could to form a good relationship. Moreover, it was the mission of a doctor to save the world. The flower fairy was stunned when she heard Xiao Changshan's words. Xiao Changtian saw the shy look on the flower fairy's face and said slowly, "Give me your hand. I can do it through the gauze." The flower fairy was a woman, but she was found to have an infectious disease. It was normal for her to panic. When the flower fairy heard Xiao Changshan's words, her face turned red. "Senior, what are you doing?" He looked at Xiao Changtian, who was handsome and skilled in playing the zither. It was so similar to his own situation. Could this be an arrangement from the heavens? The flower fairy thought so and felt a little happy. The reason why she was hiding from her family was that her family wanted to marry her to the young master of another family. The flower fairy didn't want to become a sacrifice for her family, so she fled to the 100,000 mountains alone. And here she met such a handsome and talented man. Was this fate? While the flower fairy was deep in thought, Xiao Changtian said to her slowly, "Miss, if it's not convenient, then forget it." If the lady was unwilling, he would not force her. After all, he had to consider the other party's intentions when it came to treatment. When the flower fairy heard Xiao Changshan's words, her expression became firm. He said slowly to Xiao Changtian, "Senior, I am willing." As she spoke, the flower fairy took off her veil. The veil was removed, revealing the exquisite face hidden under the veil. Xiao Changtian looked at the flower fairy in front of him, who was smiling sweetly at him. His hands were already placed in front of him. At the same time, if what he said was true, he would put the veil on his wrist. After the flower fairy took off her veil, Chui'er, who was at the side, exclaimed, "Miss?" In her family, all women wore veils before they got married. Once it was their wedding day, they would take off their veils. "I will show my best face to my beloved." And the flower fairy was actually standing on the side of a man without much contact. Taking off her veil, the shock in Chui'er's heart could be imagined. At this moment, Xiao Changtian looked at the flower fairy and said slowly, "Miss, one hand is enough." "Oh." Flower fairy heard Xiao Changtian words, also humph a sound, will oneself arm back. Then Xiao Changtian slowly placed his arm on the flower fairy's wrist. He could feel the change in the flower fairy's aura. This girl had too much yin qi. This was Xiao Changshan's first conclusion after investigating. Xiao Changtian slowly removed his arm from the flower fairy's wrist. "Miss, I see that the yin qj in your body is too heavy. When I get out, I'll give you a prescription." Chui'er heard Xiao Changshan's words and looked at him strangely. Could this person be a medical master? Their clan had too much yin qi, which was caused by the cultivation techniques that their clan had cultivated for hundreds of years. Ordinary doctors could not tell their condition at all. How could Xiao Changtian know everything just by taking his pulse? When the flower fairy heard Xiao Changshan's words, she was delighted. "I will listen to young master." Young master was concerned about him. It seemed that he had made the right decision to come to the 100,000 mountains. When Xiao Changtian heard the flower fairy's words, he slowly stood up and walked out. Seeing Xiao Changtian leaving, the flower fairy said slowly, "Young master, what are your plans? If we go to the 100,000 mountains, then I am quite familiar with the 100,000 mountains and can lead you around." Xiao Changtian turned around and smiled at the flower fairy. "Then you'll have to trouble young lady. He was going out just now to get his bamboo basket from the great sun immortal. These girls' illnesses must be treated as soon as possible." As for the flower fairy's willingness to follow him to the 100,000 mountains, it was a completely unexpected gain. With a person familiar with the 100,000 mountains to bring him along, it would save him a lot of trouble. Then the flower fairy followed Xiao Changtian out of the cabin. At this moment, the flower fairy had already put on her veil again. The moment the flower fairy came out, the people outside also looked at her. He waved his arms and shouted at her, "Flower fairy! Fairy, your zither music is really amazing. How is that kid so lucky to be standing with my goddess?" Hearing the shouts around her, the flower fairy slowly smiled. Then an ethereal voice sounded from the boat. "That song just now was not played by me, it was played by this young master." As she spoke, the flower fairy pointed at Xiao Changtian. Chapter 518, Heading to the 100,000 Mountains, 1. Divine Realm. On the flower boat. Hearing the flower fairy's voice, the spectators on both sides of the stream were in disbelief. "What? That song was played by that kid? That makes a lot more sense. Otherwise, how could this kid stand together with the fairy?" Updated on B0X and 0ville. You really don't say. Fairy and he look quite compatible when they stand together. At the same time, Xiao Changtian slowly walked to the side under the chattering of the spectators. Xiao Changtian also waved at him when he saw the great sun immortal on the shore. When the great sun immortal saw Xiao Changtian waving at him, he smiled at him. At this time he had to inform Senior Black Tortoise to come back quickly. However, he did not have any way to contact Senior Black Tortoise. At this time Xiao Changtian also came to the bank of the stream. He walked toward the Grand Sun Immortal and said slowly to the Grand Sun Immortal, "Taoist Big Sun, help me get the ointment from the bamboo basket." "Thank you." When the Great Sun Immortal heard Xiao Changshan's words, he nodded at him. Then he started to search Xiao Changshan's bamboo basket. At the same time the Great Yang Immortal broke out in cold sweat. If Senior discovered that Senior Black Tortoise and Fat Rongrong had disappeared, what would they do? Xiao Changshan's voice sounded again. "Taoist Big Sun, are you done? Should I go up and look for it?" When the Great Sun Immortal heard Xiao Changshan's words, he shivered. "There's no need, Senior. I've already found it." Xiao Changtian looked at the ointment box in the hands of the Great Sun Immortal and smiled at him. Xiao Changtian slowly took the ointment box from the Great Sun Immortal and introduced it to Cui Er. "This is perfected de Yang, he brought me here." Cui Er heard Xiao Changshan's words and glanced at the Great Sun Immortal. Then she turned her head away. This person's strength had to be limited even if it was low. He actually could not even reach the most basic cultivation in this divine world. At this moment, Xiao Changtian was also walking towards the flower fairy. Seeing Xiao Changtian still lying on the bed, the audience also said to him, "Brat, don't you know that the fairy's ship doesn't allow men to stay on it? Come down if you've received the blessing." Hearing these sour voices, Xiao Changtian was too lazy to respond. He was going to treat someone okay? Why did he sound like he was going to do something shameful? If I really listened to you, wouldn't I be guilty? With this thought in mind, Xiao Changtian slowly walked towards the flower fairy's cabin. At this moment, the flower fairy waved at the surrounding audience. The ethereal voice sounded from the boat again. "Today's blessing ceremony will end here. Everyone, you can go back first." Hearing the flower fairy's words, the audience wanted to say something. He could only swallow it in his stomach. Then he slowly left the stream amidst the commotion. In this small town, the flower fairy's prestige was still very high. Then the flower fairy entered the cabin. Seeing the flower fairy enter the cabin, Xiao Changtian slowly walked towards her. He slowly said to her, "Miss, please drink this bowl of water." The flower fairy and Cui Er came in and saw Xiao Changtian holding a porcelain bowl in his hand. Inside the porcelain bowl was some black medicine. "What do you want to give Miss to drink?" Seeing this bowl of medicine, Cui Er walked in front of the flower fairy and said slowly to Xiao Changtian. Xiao Changtian was speechless when he saw Cui Er like this. Why was this guy so hostile towards him from the beginning? He had not offended her in any way. At this time, the flower fairy also slowly said to Cui Er, "Cui Er, don't be unreasonable to young master." Cui Er could only glance at Xiao Changtian and retreat. The flower fairy slowly took the medicine from Xiao Changtian and drank it. Then, the flower fairy felt a surge of power in her body. This power and the yin qi in his body cancelled each other out, continuously purifying the energy in his body. In Cui Er's eyes, the flower fairy's aura was rising steadily. He had already vaguely reached the peak of the God Emperor realm and could advance to the God Emperor realm at any time. Cui Er looked at the flower fairy in disbelief. "Miss you," the flower fairy felt the change in her body and said happily to Xiao Changtan, "Thank you, young master." Xiao Changshan's potion not only increased her cultivation, but also helped her solve a problem with her cultivation technique. The problem of excessive yin qi caused by the cultivation technique seemed to have been solved. As the yin qi in her body slowly dissipated, the flower fairy's skin became whiter. However, unlike before, this was a natural white, not a sickly white. Xiao Changtian looked at the shocked Cui Er and said slowly, "If you want to treat it or not, follow this prescription." While speaking, Xiao Changtian also handed a prescription to Cui Er. Cui Er took the prescription from Xiao Changtian. Her excitement was written all over her face. He slowly put the prescription into his pocket and saw Xiao Changtian and the flower fairy walking out. At this moment, the audience on both sides of the stream had already left. Only the Great Sun Immortal was left waiting for Xiao Changtian. However, the Great Sun Immortal was not so calm at the moment. He tried to contact Black Tortoise, but no matter what he did, Black Tortoise did not respond. The Great Sun Immortal felt that he might not be able to complete the important task given to him by the Black Tortoise. At this time, Xiao Changtian also came to the shore. "Perfected De Yang, sorry to keep you waiting." When the Great Sun Immortal heard Xiao Changshan's words, he said to him slowly, "It's okay, Senior. Taoist Deong, this is Miss Flower Fairy." While speaking, Xiao Changtian introduced the Flower Fairy to the Great Sun Immortal. "She's more familiar with the 100,000 mountains. Let's let her lead us there." When the Great Sun Immortal heard Xiao Changshan's words, he nodded at him. The Flower Fairy also gestured to the Great Sun Immortal. She did not look down on the Grand Sun Immortal just because he was weak. Even Xiao Changtian was polite to him. How could this person be as simple as he looked? At the same time, outside the divine world, two figures slowly appeared in the air. A man and a woman. The woman looked at the divine realm in front of her with a pair of ice-blue eyes. Her eyes were filled with disdain. And they were precisely Leng Mei and Xin Yan who had come from the divine gate. Chapter 519. Senior not only raises a black tortoise, but also a phoenix. 1. In the divine realm on a continuous mountain peak. The peak of the mountain reached straight into the clouds, and the top of the mountain was covered in layers of fog. From time to time, the roars of wild beasts could be heard from the mountain peak. Updated on B0X and Zeroville. Calm Xiao Changtian and the Flower Fairy slowly appeared in front of the mountain. "Young master, the 100,000 mountains is just ahead." The Flower Fairy pointed at the 100,000 mountains and said to Xiao Changtan. Xiao Changtian smiled at the Flower Fairy. Looking at Wei Yan's mountain peak, he nodded in satisfaction. If they established their forces in this mountain, there would definitely not be any cultivators who would disturb them. With this thought in mind, Xiao Changtian slowly said to the Flower Fairy, "Miss, let's go in and take a look." Then, under the guidance of the Flower Fairy, Xiao Changtian followed her into the 100,000 mountains. At this time, the Great Sun Immortal also planned to follow Xiao Changtian in. He walked to the front of the 100,000 mountains and looked at the fork in the road. The Great Sun Immortal felt his arm being pulled by someone. Then Cui Er's voice slowly entered his ears. "Fellow Taoist, let young miss and young master walk around alone. We'll go over there." This was obviously not the first time Cui Er had come to the outskirts of the 100,000 mountains. Therefore he was not that afraid of the 100,000 mountains. When the Great Sun Immortal heard Cui Er's words, he looked in the direction where Xiao Changtian had left. After hesitating for a moment, he nodded at Cui Er. This girl seemed to have such an interest in Senior, so he naturally had to fulfill her wish. Then the Great Sun Immortal followed Cui Er and slowly walked towards another corridor. After Xiao Changtian and the others entered the 100,000 mountains, two figures appeared on the mountain. It was that person who killed the lords. The divine eyes looked at Xiao Changtian who had entered the 100,000 mountains and said slowly to Leng Mei who was beside him. Leng Mei looked at the 100,000 mountains in front of him and then at Xiao Changtian who had entered. His eyes narrowed slightly as he spoke slowly. Interesting. The mist that filled the 100,000 mountains seemed to have some isolating effect on her senses. A small divine world actually had such a place. This made Leng Mei somewhat interested in the 100,000 mountains. Following that, Lung Mei turned into a stream of light and flew into the 100,000 mountains. The divine eye remained where it was, looking at Lung Mei who had entered the 100,000 mountains. No one knew what it was thinking. The reason why he brought Lung Mei here to look for Xiao Changtian and didn't look for Di Tian. Most importantly, when they were on the floating island, he felt that Xiao Changtian was guessing Di Tian's leader. Xiao Changtian was obviously stronger, which would prove his words. In the 100,000 mountains, Cui and the immortal De Yang were walking side by side on the mountain road. Cui looked at the great sun immortal beside her and slowly said to him, "Let me ask you, how is your young master? What does he usually do?" After the flower fairy took the initiative to remove Xiao Changshan's veil, Cui became more interested in Xiao Changtian. When the great sun immortal heard Cui's words, he hesitated for a moment and then slowly said, "This senior is highly respected and is currently tempering his heart in the mortal world, experiencing life in the mortal world." Cui smiled when she heard the words of the great sun immortal. She continued to speak to the great sun immortal, "Wow, then your young master must be an expert who can shake the entire divine realm, right?" Hearing Cui's words, the great sun immortal slowly said, "Senior, I don't dare to speculate on your strength. As for your name, I don't know either." Cui's cold smile became even more obvious when she heard the words of the big sun. The young master's zither skills and medical skills were not bad, but unfortunately this servant was too good at pretending. It was the same as those who pursued the ladies. He said how awesome he was, but if he really wanted to say something specific he could not say anything. With such a servant as his master, young master's character would naturally not be good. As she thought about this, Cui's impression of Xiao Changtian immediately decreased. "No, I have to remind Miss later. He couldn't let Miss be kidnapped by him." At this time, the great sun immortal also said slowly to Cui, "Fellow Taoist, do you have any way to transmit your voice over a large area?" The great sun immortal felt bad that he couldn't contact the black tortoise. Cui shook her head at him when she heard the words of the great sun immortal. If she knew, she would send a voice transmission to the flower fairy right now and tell her to be careful of Xiao Changtian. "What? Do you have something to do?" When the great sun immortal heard Cui's words, he also said to her slowly, "It's nothing much. One just want to pass a message to Senior Black Tortoise." When Cui heard the words of the great sun immortal, she also said to the great sun immortal with some ridicule, "Black Tortoise, does that mean that your young master is raising a black tortoise? There should be a limit to this posturing. Where did this bragging go to? He even said that he raised the black tortoise. Did he dare to believe what he said?" When the great sun immortal heard Cui's words, he nodded at Cui without hesitation. "That's right. Senior not only raises black tortoise but also phoenix, heaven-swallowing dog, ancestral dragon, chaos ant. All right." Cui interrupted the words of the great sun immortal. Her impression of the great sun immortal was already very bad. Why was this old man so good at bragging? He really thought of himself as a divine beast breeder. If he was that awesome, he would be in the divine world. No, I must tell this information to the young miss. With Miss' current situation, that person might have deceived her. The young lady was abducted by him. With this thought in her heart, Cui also walked towards the other side. As the great sun immortal watched Cui leave, he slowly said to her, "Miss, where are you going?" Cui ignored him. Seeing that Cui didn't respond, the great sun immortal followed her. After all, he was not familiar with the 100,000 mountains. Perhaps he would die here. On the way to Cui's departure, a figure slowly appeared above her. "There's actually someone here. Interesting." When Lung Mei spoke, there was some blood on his hand. Following that, Lung Mei brought along a whirlwind and flew towards Cui. When Cui was walking, she felt a cold wind wrapping around her. In a moment, Cui's body was surrounded by snow and wind. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The cold wind roared in Cui's ears. Cui looked at the unusual scene around her. His heart also became solemn. The great sun immortal, who was following behind, looked at the sudden cold wind. His expression was also solemn. He placed his hands on his waist, ready to attack at any moment. Chapter 520. He Old Man 1, Divine Realm, 100,000 Mountains. Cui looked at the cold wind around her and slowly said, "Who is it? Come out." She had never encountered such a situation when she entered the 100,000 mountains. It was obvious that someone was up to something. Updated on B0X and Zeroville. Calm. When Lung Mei heard Cui's words, she also let out a sentence of bell-like laughter. Then a cold wind swept towards Cui, and a cold figure appeared beside her. Cui looked at Lung Mei, who suddenly appeared beside her and was about to make a move. He realized that the true essence in his body had completely solidified. He was completely unable to move his body. This person was very strong. Feeling the changes in her body, Cui-er also made an evaluation of Leng Mei at the first moment. Leng Mei looked at Cui-er in front of her and said slowly, "With your strength, it's impossible for you to kill Tian Yuan. Tell me, where did those two people go?" When she entered the 100,000 mountains, Leng Mei also relied on her strong body to walk casually. She did encounter many fierce beasts, but she killed them one by one. Cui-er's mood fell to the bottom when she heard Leng Mei's words. Could this person's target be Miss? With this thought in mind, Cui-er did not think too much about it. She shouted at the great Sun Immortal who had just walked over, "Old man, this guy is Miss and young master. Hurry up and go." Before Cui-er could finish speaking, she realized that her mouth had been sealed by an ice cube. His body was slowly covered by a layer of ice. In the end, he turned into an ice sculpture in front of the great Sun Immortal. When the great Sun Immortal saw Cui-er's appearance, he instinctively wanted to find Xiao Changtian. He wasn't sure when Cui-er was there, but he was sure that she was definitely much higher than him. Even Cui-er couldn't resist, he should hurry to find Xiao Changtian. At this moment, Leng Mei saw the enlightened person of the Sun Dynasty running to the other side and said disdainfully, "There's still someone who's even worse than an ant. You have no value in existence." As she spoke, a long ice spear appeared beside Leng Mei. Whoosh! The ice spear condensed for only a moment before it flew toward Taoist Big Sunday. Feeling that he was locked onto by the ice spear, the great Sun Immortal could barely muster up any thoughts of resistance. Without any thoughts, the ice spear arrived in front of him. Then bang! The ice spear shattered in front of the great Sun Immortal. "This beauty, I like your personality. Why don't you follow me?" As this voice rang out in the valley, the immortal De Yang slowly recovered. Looking up at the sky, he slowly said, "Senior Black Tortoise?" As soon as the great Sun Immortal finished speaking, the Black Tortoise's figure slowly landed in front of the great Sun Immortal. "Perfected De Yang, you're really too mean. Didn't you say that Master would come out and inform me?" Originally, Black Tortoise also wanted to come to the 100,000 mountains to see if there were any beautiful women. Unexpectedly, after walking around, there was nothing here. It was filled with wild beasts. This greatly disappointed the Black Tortoise. When he realized that everyone was gone, he hurried over. When the great Sun Immortal heard the Black Tortoise's words, he smiled bitterly and said to him slowly, "Senior Black Tortoise, it's not that I didn't inform you, but I couldn't contact you." As he spoke, the great Sun Immortal revealed a trace of helplessness. When Senior Black Tortoise heard Taoist Big Sun's words, he also felt that it made sense. "That's true. Then I won't argue with you this time. It's more important for this Sea King to pursue beautiful women." Leng Mei looked at the Black Tortoise that had suddenly appeared, and her eyes narrowed slightly. His palm changed and the water droplets in the surrounding air immediately condensed. They formed icy blue ice spikes around her. "Frost ice art!" Leng Mei shouted loudly, and then countless ice thorns attacked the Black Tortoise. "Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Wow, such a fiery temper. The Sea King likes it," Black Tortoise said excitedly as he looked at the incoming icicles. In the past, when those people saw him, they would always be submissive. There was actually someone who wanted to take the initiative to attack him. This made Black Tortoise feel extremely interested. "Boss, let me do it." The fat Rongrong looked at the incoming icicles, also preparing to help Black Tortoise block. "Fatty, there's no need. I'll do it myself." Playing these tricks in front of the water ancestor, Black Tortoise, wasn't he courting death? The Black Tortoise casually spat out a green light. Then the icicles disappeared like snow meeting the sun. When Leng Mei saw that her attack had been easily resolved, she slowly said to the Black Tortoise, "Are you really Black Tortoise?" When she first saw Black Tortoise, she instinctively felt that it was because of some special cultivation method of a beast. If he wanted to deceive him, he would use his immortal skill to test it. After all, how could a divine beast like the Black Tortoise be born in such a place? Unexpectedly, it was easily resolved by Black Tortoise. Hearing Leng Mei's somewhat shocked voice, the Black Tortoise also slowly said to her, "Beauty, what? Is this Sea King still fake? Oh, why is there a beauty beside you?" Although the ice beauty is beautiful, she's not angry and not fun. As the Black Tortoise spoke, a green light flew towards the ice sculpture where Cui-er was. The green light landed on the ice sculpture and a loud bang sounded. The ice layer that sealed Cui-er broke into pieces, revealing Cui-er's figure. Cough, cough, cough. After breaking free from the ice layer, Cui-er coughed violently. Then, seeing that the great Sun Immortal was still standing there, he said to him, "Why are you still here?" The great Sun Immortal was still here, which meant something. He was also subdued like her. It seemed that the person just now had gone to look for Miss and the others. At this moment, Black Tortoise arrived in front of Chuyer. "Beauty, I saved your life. How are you going to repay me? Why don't I take advantage of you and marry you?" Chuyer was also furious when she heard Black Tortoise's words. Then, when he saw the Black Tortoise in front of him, he understood something. This Black Tortoise must have been left behind by that person to guard them. As she thought of this, she recalled what the Great Sun Immortal had said. Chuyer could not help but say slowly to the Great Sun Immortal, "Old man, didn't you raise this Black Tortoise? Why don't you let them go and save Miss and the others?" At this moment, Chuyer's words were filled with mockery. When Black Tortoise heard Chuyer's words, he also looked at the Great Sun Immortal. When the Great Sun Immortal felt Black Tortoise's gaze, he hurriedly waved his hand at him. "Senior Black Tortoise, it's not like this. Don't listen to her nonsense." Chuyer saw the nervous look on Taoist Big Sun's face and mocked him in her heart. "Hee old man." Chapter 521. Then why did you run away? Do you not like this Sea King? Divine Realm, 100,000 Mountains. The Great Sun Immortal looked at the Black Tortoise in front of him and said slowly to him, saying that Senior Black Tortoise was raised by Senior. As he spoke, Taoist Big Sun glared at Chuyer. The Great Sun Immortal had seen the fight between Black Tortoise and Phoenix many times. Updated on B0X and Zeroville.com, he was very clear about their bad tempers. If he was pestered by Miss Chuyer, he would suffer an undeserved disaster later. Chuyer could not help but say when she felt the gaze of the Great Sun Immortal, "Aren't they all the same?" Now Black Tortoise is starting to shirk responsibility. When Black Tortoise heard Chuyer's words, he finally understood. Then he came in front of Chuyer and said to Fatty, "Fatty, I like this girl very much too. Which one do you think I should choose?" The fat Rongrong was currently nibbling on a sword she got from who knows where. Hearing Black Tortoise's words, he also slowly said to him, "Boss, do we still have to choose?" "Of course we want both. Boss, you're the Sea King. Who doesn't love you?" The fat Rongrong's words also touched Black Tortoise's heart. Black Tortoise's heart was also filled with joy, looking at the fat Rongrong more and more pleasing to the eye. Why was this kid so sensible? "Fatty, you're right. This Sea King doesn't need to make any choice. You too served me once." As he spoke, the Black Tortoise looked at the void in front of him and spat out a green light. "Beauty, don't run." At this moment, in the void, Lung Mai's figure passed through layers of void. He desperately flew out of the 100,000 mountains. After learning that the Black Tortoise was a true divine beast, Lung Mai did not have any heart to resist. He grabbed Black Tortoise and Chuyer and escaped while they were chatting. This divine realm was really like what the Divine Eye had said, where dragons and tigers hid. It seemed that Tengen and the others had died here for a reason. Now, he could only wait until he returned to the sacred spirit world and report to his clan before making any plans. Lung Mai's figure was flying in the air. Then she saw the light at the exit. Just as she was about to leave the 100,000 mountains, a green light wrapped around her. Feeling the green light on her body, Lung Mai's expression changed. There was a hint of fear on her exquisite face. "No, Senior Black Tortoise, don't." Black Tortoise was the ancestor of water, the ancestor of all water. When the green light wrapped around Lung Mai's body, it also wanted to cripple Lung Mai's cultivation. After all, as long as Lung Mai lost her cultivation, she would not run around. Upon hearing Lung Mai's terrified voice, Black Tortoise's voice was also transmitted from the green light. "Then why did you run away? Do you not like this Sea King?" Lung Mai felt that her cultivation had already been suppressed. If she continued to be corroded by the green light, his realm would definitely start to fall. This was something she could not accept no matter what. Sensing the changes in his body, Lung Mai hurriedly said to the Black Tortoise, "Senior Black Tortoise, why am I running? I want to serve you." As she spoke, she flew back to her original position. She was really afraid that Black Tortoise would cripple her cultivation. "You're too slow. Let this Sea King give you a hand." As soon as Black Tortoise finished speaking, Lung Mai also felt the green light on her body bring her towards Black Tortoise's direction. In an instant he arrived in front of the Black Tortoise. Coming here again, Lung Mai knew that what she had done just now was all for nothing. At this moment, Chuyer saw Lung Mai who had returned to her side. His face was also a little stunned. Didn't this woman go to deal with Miss? Why did he come back? It's good that you like this Sea King. You can serve this Sea King together. At this moment, Black Tortoise's voice slowly entered Chuyer and Lung Mai's ears. Lung Mai looked at the Black Tortoise in front of him and her body shook. Although she was very overbearing, she was still a newbie when it came to such matters. When Chuyer heard Black Tortoise's words, she slowly understood something. This Black Tortoise was not this woman's divine beast? Could it be that it was really as the great Sun Immortal said, that the Black Tortoise was raised by that young master? For the first time, Chuyer began to doubt her own thoughts. And at this time, in order to not let Black Tortoise cripple his cultivation, Lung Mei also slowly came to Black Tortoise's side. Come, massage this Sea King's shoulders. Black Tortoise had unknowingly sat on the fat Rongrong's body, speaking slowly to Lung Mei. Lung Mei looked at Black Tortoise's face and hesitated. After struggling internally, he also stood behind the fat Rongrong, massaging the Black Tortoise on his body. Then Black Tortoise said to Chuyer, "That beauty, are you looking down on me?" Chuyer was still in a daze. She no longer knew where Black Tortoise came from. However, when he saw a powerhouse like Lung Mei, he still wanted to rub the shoulders of the Black Tortoise. She gritted her teeth and walked towards Black Tortoise. If he did not yield, Black Tortoise would use some forceful means on him later. Wouldn't it be even more embarrassing for me to be a follower? At the same time, Chuyer also looked at the great Sun Immortal. If this Black Tortoise was really raised by that young master, this old man would have to speak up for him no matter what. When the great Sun Immortal felt Chuyer's gaze, he turned his head away. It seemed that she was dissatisfied with Chuyer for speaking nonsense in front of the Black Tortoise. This damned old man. Chuyer cursed Immortal De Yang in her heart. At this moment, Black Tortoise also slowly said to Chuyer, who had come in front of him, "Come, this Sea King has been busy recently and my limbs are also very sore." When the fat Rongrong below Black Tortoise heard these words, she also slowly said to Black Tortoise, "Boss, haven't I been bringing you around recently?" Black Tortoise was also somewhat embarrassed by the fat Rongrong's words, and also glared at the fat Rongrong. This fat guy, I thought he had a lot of directors recently. Why did he not understand? Don't expose me in front of a beauty. And the fat Rongrong felt Black Tortoise's gaze, and knew that she had said something wrong. He also obediently shut his mouth. At this time, Black Tortoise also looked at Chuyer in front of him. He muttered, "Then what should you do?" Black Tortoise looked at Chuyer in front of him and began to think. At this moment, a voice sounded in Black Tortoise's ear. "You old turtle, why did you run out again and even harass the girl? They'll beat you to death." Hearing this voice, Black Tortoise almost reflexively jumped up from the fat Rongrong. Then he saw Xiao Changtian walking towards him angrily. Chapter 522. This girl was terrified. 1. Divine Realm, 100,000 Mountains. Xiao Changtian followed the Flower Fairy around the 100,000 Mountains for a while. The Flower Fairy also told Xiao Changtian some of the routes she knew. As for the depths of the 100,000 Mountains, the Flower Fairy did not dare to go in and investigate. Therefore, after introducing the things that he knew to Xiao Changtian, updated on Biomicron X0VL. Xiaomicron M. The Flower Fairy also suggested to look for Chuyer and Taoist De Yang. He didn't expect to see this old turtle run out of the basket when he arrived. Moreover, it seemed like he was harassing a good woman. Wasn't he causing trouble for himself? With this thought in mind, Xiao Changtian also walked towards the direction of the Black Tortoise. Seeing Black Tortoise trying to escape from the ground, he also grabbed him up from the ground. Looking at the Black Tortoise in his hand, Xiao Changtian slowly said to him, "You old turtle, can't you make me worry a little?" While speaking, Xiao Changtian also slapped the Black Tortoise. When the Black Tortoise heard Xiao Changshan's angry voice, it slowly retracted its limbs into its turtle shell. On the side, Lung Mei and Chuyer looked at Xiao Changshan's appearance. He was also shocked. The Black Tortoise was beaten up by someone just like that? After Xiao Changtian beat the Black Tortoise, he slowly threw it on the ground. Then he walked towards Lung Mei and said slowly to her, "Miss, did I scare you just now?" After Xiao Changtian realized that Mu Jiahuang and the others in the courtyard were afraid of the Black Tortoise, he was shocked. He also started to worry. This old turtle didn't scare this girl, right? Lung Mei looked at Xiao Changtian, who was standing in front of the self-help, not knowing what to say. She had personally experienced Black Tortoise's strength. This person had captured Black Tortoise and beaten him up until he had no temper. Now Lung Mei already regretted why she came to the Divine Realm. This place was originally a barren land, and the ones who died were actually insignificant cultivators under his command. Why did he have to come here? At this time, Lung Mei's hair was messy on her face because of the wind in the valley. Xiao Changtian also reached out to help Lung Mei put her ice blue hair behind him. The moment he was touched by Xiao Changtian, Lung Mei's body shook as if he had been electrocuted. Seeing Lung Mei's nervous and restrained appearance, Xiao Changtian also sighed in his heart. This girl looked like she was so frightened that she didn't even know how to speak. He had to take good care of Black Tortoise in the future. She had only been out for a few days and she was already causing trouble for him. He thought that it had become obedient. The flower fairy saw Xiao Changtian helping Leng Mei with her hair. He also slowly walked over to Leng Mei. "Sister, may I ask who you are?" Leng Mei looked at Xiao Changtian in front of him and then at the flower fairy who had extended her hand to him. "Miss?" Chui'er was also a little worried when she saw the flower fairy taking the initiative to talk to Leng Mei. She had personally experienced the terror of Leng Mei just now. The bone-piercing chill and the moment of freezing were still vivid in his mind. At this moment, Leng Mei slowly extended her hand and shook the flower fairy's hand. "Let go." Chui'er came between the flower fairy and Leng Mei and separated their hands. Then he glared at Leng Mei and whispered into the flower fairy's ear, "Miss, be careful. This is a female devil." Xiao Changtian also said to Leng Mei, "Miss, it seems that you are scared out of your wits. Taoist Master De Yang, can I trouble you to bring the girl back?" As a mortal, he didn't have the ability to send a lady home. However, the Great Sun Immortal was different. His cultivation was powerful, so he could rest assured that she would bring the girl home. When the Great Sun Immortal heard Xiao Changshan's words, he nodded at him. With Senior protecting him, what was he afraid of? When Leng Mei saw that Xiao Changtian wanted the Great Sun Immortal to take him away, he was also in disbelief. This person had just let him go. Following that, under the guidance of the Great Sun Immortal, Leng Mei also slowly left the 100,000 mountains. When the flower fairy saw Leng Mei leave, she also said slowly to Chui'er beside her, "I'm not afraid." Chui'er also covered her forehead when she saw the flower fairy like this. He didn't know what to do. At this moment, Xiao Changqing came to the flower fairy and said slowly, "Young lady, it's getting late. Why don't you go back first?" When the flower fairy heard Xiao Changshan's words, she wanted to ask him what he was going to do. Chui'er stood in front of her and said slowly to Xiao Changtian, "Young master, it's getting late. I'll take Miss back first." Everything that had happened today had left Chui'er dumbfounded. Before she figured it out, she would not give the flower fairy and Xiao Changtian a chance to interact. Although this senior was the master of the Black Tortoise, why was he so good to that female devil? Under Chui'er's tugging, the flower fairy reluctantly left with her. Xiao Changtian looked at the direction where the flower fairy had left and waved at her. Although the flower fairy had already introduced the situation of the 100,000 mountains to him. However, Xiao Changtian felt that this was not deep enough. Just in case Xiao Changtian decided to go deeper. He wanted to see if there was a better place to build his foundation. Then Xiao Changtian also started to walk slowly into the 100,000 mountains. After the Great Sun Immortal left the 100,000 mountains with Leng Mei, he said to her slowly, "Since Senior wants you to leave, then leave. But you have to remember that Senior likes peace and quiet. If you expose his whereabouts, it will be hard to say when the time comes. You have to know that with Senior's strength, it's not difficult for him to leave something on you." When he spoke, the Great Sun Immortal also sounded threatening. He also knew that Xiao Changtian liked peace and quiet. Therefore he wanted to help Xiao Changtian give this cold ghost a shot in the dark. When Leng Mei heard the Grand Sun Immortal's words, his figure also shook. He hurriedly used his holy sense to investigate his body. Although they didn't find any imprints, it didn't mean that there were none. If that person's strength was much higher than his, it would be normal for him not to notice it. Thinking like this, Leng Mei seemed to understand everything. Why did that person let him go just now? It turned out that his strength was like an ant in that person's eyes. As he thought of this, Leng Mei also took a deep look at the enlightened person of Daang. The arrogance in his eyes was long gone. Then, his body turned into a stream of light and flew into the distance. She did not want to stay in this divine world for even a moment longer. Chapter 523. It's very possibly an old monster traveling outside. 1. In the heavens beyond, in a shattered void. Leng Mei's figure had appeared in this area at some point. He looked at the void in front of him without any hesitation. With a wave of her hand, an icy blue token appeared in her palm. With the effect of the token, the void in front of him also automatically formed a spatial passageway. Update on Biomicron X0 VL. Xiomicron M. Then the cold figure flew in with a whoosh. After leaving the 100,000 mountains, Leng Mei went straight to heavens beyond and returned to the spirit race. Whoosh. After returning to the spiritual race, Leng Mei's figure also turned into a stream of light. He flew towards a mountain peak of the spiritual race. Her figure slowly landed on the mountain peak. Leng Mei also slowly walked towards the snow-white palace on the mountain peak. Mayor, where have you been all this time? Before Lung Mei could enter the palace, a clear voice came from the snow-white palace. Sister, I might be in trouble. As soon as Lung Mei finished speaking, an equally beautiful woman appeared in front of her. Unlike Lung Mei, the woman's eyes were ice blue and her hair was silver. Come in and talk. Lung Xiaoxiao looked at the cold Mei in front of her and looked around. Then he waved his hand and Lung Mei and Lung Xiaoxiao entered the palace. After entering the palace, Lung Mei also told Lung Xiaoxiao everything that he had encountered in the 100,000 mountains. Divine beast black tortoise? They'll beat you until you can't resist at all. There's such an expert outside of human realm upon heavens? In my mouth Lung Xiaoxiao paced back and forth in the palace. Then she stretched out her hand and pointed at Lung Mei's forehead. Then a spiritual light swept across Lung Mei's body. That person probably didn't leave anything on you. As Lung Xiaoxiao said that, she thought of something. Mayor, are you stupid? This situation can only mean one thing. That person is not worried that your return will cause any harm to her. It's very likely that he's an old monster who's traveling outside. When Lung Mei heard Lung Xiaoxiao's words, he also said somewhat anxiously, Sister, what should I do? Although she was usually a little mischievous, she had never thought of dying or having her cultivation crippled. She had also considered Xiao Changshan's strength. It must have reached a level that he could not imagine. Sister, why do you think such a person would go to a barren land like the Divine Realm? Lung Xiaoxiao was walking in the palace. When she heard Lung Mei's words, she said to her slowly, Little sister, your words have enlightened me. Why do you think such a person would travel in a place like the Divine Realm? They must be plotting something. As long as we go over and apologize to them, we'll see if there's anything we can help with. Maybe they will let you go. When Lung Mei heard Lung Xiaoxiao's words, he said to her somewhat reluctantly, Sister, do I have to go to that place again? Go, of course. Do you still want to live in fear? Hearing this, Lung Xiaoxiao glared at her. Go and prepare now. I'll go with you. Divine Realm, 100,000 mountains. After the flower fairy and the others left, Xiao Changtian also went inside alone with a bamboo basket on his back. After passing through many valleys, Xiao Changshan's eyes lit up. So there's a scenery in the mountains. There was a huge lake in front of Xiao Changtian. Looking at the center of the lake, there was a small island on it. Let's go to that island and take a look. That's a good place. Looking at the small island in the middle of the lake, Xiao Changtian suddenly felt that he had found a satisfactory place. Xiao Changtian came to the lake and looked at the bottomless lake. He was also a little troubled. It seemed like he still lacked a small boat. Looking around, there was a raft there. Looking at the calm surface of the lake, there shouldn't be any problem for him to go over. With that thought in mind, Xiao Changtian slowly stood on the raft and randomly picked a bamboo stick. He began to swim toward the island in the middle of the lake. When Xiao Changtian stepped on the raft, a pair of huge eyes slowly opened under the lake. Then the figure slowly swam under the lake. And at this time, inside Xiao Changshan's bamboo basket, the fat Rongrong also slowly said to Black Tortoise above her head, Boss, did you notice that there seems to be a big guy under the lake? Black Tortoise sat on the fat Rongrong's head, slowly poking his head out of the bamboo basket. It's just a small lizard. There's nothing to worry about. Master can easily solve it. While the Black Tortoise was talking, a black flood dragon slowly swam toward Xiao Changshan's raft. As the flood dragon slowly approached, Xiao Changtian felt the lake surface begin to fluctuate. What was happening? Who was causing trouble? Xiao Changtian felt the change in the lake and cursed in his heart. Then he looked down at the lake. There were some faint black shadows on the surface of the lake. It seemed that some animals were causing trouble below. There are many animals in the mountains, but the animals in the lake are also here to cause trouble. Xiao Changtian complained and then picked up the bamboo from the water. When he came from the valley, Xiao Changtian had seen some ferocious beasts. However, with his hunting skills and understanding of animal habits, Xiao Changtian easily took care of them. Although they weren't a threat to Xiao Changtian, their numbers made him impatient. In the end, Xiao Changshan's interspatial ring was filled with ferocious beast meat. In fact, Xiao Changtian himself didn't want to kill them. However, those ferocious beasts seemed to have their own personalities. If he did not kill them, they would give up attacking him. Therefore, Xiao Changtian felt that this trip to the 100,000 mountains was a great opportunity. They could store enough food for a few months. With this thought in mind, Xiao Changtian also took the bamboo pole and stabbed it towards the black shadow below. Bang! When the bamboo pole fell into the water, it also caused a splash on the surface of the water. Below the lake, the black water dragon looked at the bamboo raft and was about to swallow it. He felt a rapid stream of water rushing towards him with a strong wind. Bang! The water hit the black water dragon's scales. In an instant, a wound opened up on his body. Ah! Caught off guard by the sudden attack, the black water dragon looked at the bamboo raft above with anger. No wonder you dare to covet my treasure. You have some ability. But compared to me, he's far inferior. The blackwater dragon spoke slowly, and its wound healed quickly. Chapter 524:1 Say, Little Black, you don't have any pretty girls here. 1. Divine Realm, 100,000 mountains under the lake. The blackwater dragon looked at Xiao Changshan's bamboo raft. Its eyes turned red. Wrath of the Flood Dragon. As the blackwater dragon's eyes turned red, its aura soared rapidly. In an instant he had also reached the peak of the godly Emperor realm. He even had the aura of a half-step human immortal. Upped it on Biomicron X0 VL. Siomicron M in the 100,000 mountains, it was also one of the top local overlords. After cultivating for tens of thousands of years, his cultivation had also reached the peak of the godly Emperor realm. After so many years of staying in the lake at the center of the 100,000 mountains, they had also been constantly plundering all kinds of treasures from other places. They were piled up on the island in the center of the lake for him to enjoy. Now that he saw someone coveting his island, how could he not be angry? As the black water dragon moved quickly, the water on the surface of the lake also became faster. Xiao Changtian felt the change in the lake and said slowly, "All right, another one who wants to die." Through the lake, Xiao Changtian saw a black shadow getting closer and closer to him. Although he couldn't see the body shape of the other party, it was needless to say that Xiao Changtian knew. It must be the animal in the water. The animals in the 100,000 mountains really had their own personalities. At this moment, Xiao Changtian slowly raised the bamboo pole in his hand and waved it. It was aimed at the black shadow below. At this moment, a voice slowly entered Xiao Changshan's ears. "Human die." Hearing this voice, Xiao Changshan's body shook. Had he encountered a demonic beast? In the cultivation world, he had always heard that it was easy to encounter demon beasts in the mountains. However, he thought about how he had been quite lucky along the way. He had only encountered ordinary ferocious beasts. He didn't expect to meet them on this lake. The key was that it was not easy for him to escape. However, there was no turning back. Xiao Changtian swung the bamboo pole in his hand. Xiao Changtian didn't look at the black shadow in front of him. Then he hit the blackwater dragon's head with the bamboo pole. Bang! The blackwater dragon felt dizzy after being hit by Xiao Changshan's bamboo pole. Then, the true essence in his entire body became chaotic. His body fell into the water with a swoosh. Looking at the splashing water on the lake in front of him, Xiao Changtian also looked at the bamboo pole in his hand in disbelief. His bamboo pole wasn't broken? Didn't that demonic beast just now speak human language? With doubts in his heart, Xiao Changtian walked towards the lake. Then Xiao Changtian saw a dragon with black scales and a long beard appear in front of him. No matter what, this appearance was undoubtedly a demonic beast. However, from the looks of it, why was this demonic beast so vulnerable? He seemed to have been knocked unconscious by his attack just now. He was just a mortal. How could he defeat a demonic beast? Then Xiao Changtian raised his bamboo pole and pushed the blackwater dragon. After being pushed by Xiao Changtian, the blackwater dragon swam up to him and transmitted its voice to Xiao Changtian. "Senior, I'm just a little demon beast that has just entered the sect and am not sensible. I'm sorry for bumping into you just now. You're a magnanimous person, so please let me go." After being hit by Xiao Changtian, the blackwater dragon knew that it couldn't defeat Xiao Changtian. The blackwater dragon only had one principle when it came to people stronger than it. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to survive in the 100,000 mountains for so long. Xiao Changtian heard the blackwater dragon's words and looked at its obedient face. The demonic beasts in the cultivation world were different from what he remembered. Did you just cultivate to become a demon? Xiao Changtian looked at the black flood dragon in front of the bamboo raft and said slowly. The blackwater dragon was stunned when he heard Xiao Changshan's words. With this person's cultivation, it shouldn't be difficult for him to see through his strength. Thinking so, the blackwater dragon said to Xiao Changtian slowly, "Senior, you're right. I'm no different from someone who just cultivated into a demon." Xiao Changtian nodded and said slowly, "It seems so." Xiao Changtian also remembered that when Ditian first saw him, he also directly fell from the sky. He could still deal with these unskilled cultivators and demon beasts. With this thought in mind, Xiao Changtian slowly walked to the shore. He looked over at the island and saw that there was no one on the island. It was good that this was an uninhabited island. In that case, if he allowed Di Tian to establish his power here, wouldn't it be considered as him occupying the mountain and becoming the king? With this thought in mind, Xiao Changtian slowly walked onto the island. The Blackwater Dragon, who was following Xiao Changtian, felt a heartache when he saw Xiao Changtian step onto the island. He couldn't tell how strong Xiao Changtian was. What he was sure of was that he couldn't beat him. However, this person was so powerful that he probably wouldn't take a fancy to his things. As he was thinking about this, the Blackwater Dragon saw Xiao Changtian slowly walking towards him. At this moment, Xiao Changtian said to the Blackwater Dragon, "Big mud fish, just play in the lake. I won't disturb you. And you old turtle, you should go play in the lake too. Don't run around all day." As he spoke, Xiao Changtian also took out the black tortoise from his bamboo basket. And seeing the fat Rongrong, Xiao Changtian rubbed its head. "Rongrong, follow me to the island to take a look." When the black water dragon saw the black tortoise slowly walking towards it, it understood something. Why did Xiao Changtian just say that he was a demonic beast that had just entered the sect? Indeed, in front of the black tortoise, he was no different from those demonic beasts who had just entered the sect. Seeing the black tortoise, the black water dragon forced a smile and said slowly, "Lord Black Tortoise, what instructions do you have?" Black Tortoise looked at Xiao Changtian, who had already brought the fat Rongrong to the island. He also slowly said to the Blackwater Dragon in front of him, "You little lizard, did you want to attack Master just now?" "No, that was all a misunderstanding, Lord Black Tortoise." At this moment, the Blackwater Dragon could only smile apologetically when it heard the Black Tortoise's accusation. "Come, take me to your lake." Hearing Black Tortoise's words, the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon didn't show any signs of neglect and started swimming in the lake with Black Tortoise. As the Blackwater Dragon was the overlord of this place, there were basically no demon beasts in this lake. The entire lake was the Blackwater Dragon's territory. Therefore, the Black Tortoise swam slowly in the lake and said to the Blackwater Dragon beside him, "I say, Xiaohei, you don't have a single beauty here." Chapter 525. Miss already has someone she likes. 1. Divine Realm, outside the 100,000 mountains. In the air, a few beautiful women in gorgeous clothes stood tall. At this moment, one of the beauties said to a girl in flowery clothes, "Baiji, did you say that Miss escaped to the 100,000 mountains?" Upon hearing this beautiful woman's words, the flowery-clothed young girl named Baiji also slowly bowed towards her. "Yes, Elder." Miss Flower Fairy ran out of the family and fled towards the 100,000 mountains. Update on Biomicron X0VL. Siomicronim. As they spoke, the few beautiful women slowly saw the small town in front of the 100,000 mountains. Let us go down and take a look at the situation first. Then, the beautiful women landed in the small town where the Flower Fairy was. Seeing this deserted town, the beautiful women also frowned slightly. The reputation of the forbidden area of the 100,000 mountains did not come out of thin air. Seeing this deserted town, the beautiful women also felt a little cold. "I don't know what young lady wants to do, isn't it better to listen to Palace Master's words?" Looking at the deserted town, the beautiful woman couldn't help but complain. "Don't say anything more. We just need to take Miss back." At this moment, the beautiful woman in the lead slowly said to the beautiful woman beside her, "Let's first understand this town." Following that, the few beautiful women also walked towards a small stall on the side of the street. At the same time, Cui who was walking on the street, also saw these beautiful women. "Someone from the palace has arrived." After saying this, Cui slowly turned around and ran towards the back. Baiji also saw this scene. She pointed at Cui who was running and said slowly, "Elders, look, Cui." When the beautiful women heard Baiji's words, they also looked in the direction she pointed out. Chase. The few beautiful women looked at each other and stood up from the chairs they had just sat down on. Then they all turned into a stream of light and chased after Cui. 100,000 mountains. Xiao Changtian brought the fat Rongrong around the island. He was also very happy. This island was simply a huge treasure. Not only was it an uninhabited island, but it was also rich in resources. If they established their forces here, they would not have to worry about the attacks of those cultivators. Moreover, he did not have to worry about eating, drinking, and having fun. The island's terrain was also very suitable for building houses. With this thought in mind, Xiao Changtian slowly walked to the lake. He also slowly said to the lake, "Old turtle, we're going back." After Xiao Changtian finished his words, the black tortoise and the black water dragon slowly appeared beside the lake. At this moment, the black water dragon was behind the black tortoise, and it was feeling a little uneasy. After Senior Black Tortoise had played around in the lake, he had already reached the peak of the lake. He was not interested in any treasures, but he was very interested in beautiful women. However, he was the only one here. How could there be any beautiful women? Therefore, after seeing the Black Tortoise's displeasure, the Black Water Dragon became submissive. And at this time, the Black Water Dragon saw the fat Rongrong beside Xiao Changtian holding a few bamboos. His heart ached. That was the spiritual bamboo he had just plundered from other demon beasts a while ago. And the fat Rongrong didn't pay any attention to the Black Flood Dragon, continuing to gnaw on the spirit bamboo in her hand. This thing was not of much help to his cultivation. However, the taste was still quite good. However, the Black Water Dragon did not dare to say anything. It could only wait quietly at the side. At this moment, Xiao Changtian said to Black Tortoise, "Old Turtle, we've found the place." At this moment, Xiao Changtian also placed the Black Tortoise into the bamboo basket. Looking at the lake in front of him, Xiao Changtian also walked to the bamboo raft he came from. Looking at the Black Water Dragon on the shore, he slowly said to him, "He'll call you Little Black. We're going to be neighbors here." Xiao Changtian slowly left the island. The Black Water Dragon was left standing on the spot with a dumbfounded expression. When Xiao Changtian left with the Black Tortoise, the Black Water Dragon thought it was going to be freed. It seemed like this person would come again in the future. At the same time, in a small courtyard, the Flower Fairy and the Great Sun Immortal were sitting in the courtyard, waiting for Xiao Changshan's return. After the Flower Fairy left the 100,000 Mountains, she also invited the Great Sun Immortal to rest at her place. Standing at the door, Taoist Big Sun saw Chui'er running over slowly from outside, looking anxious. He also slowly said to her, "Miss Chui'er, what's wrong? Did something happen?" Chui'er saw Taoist Big Sun standing at the entrance and waved at him. "Quick, tell young lady that someone from the palace has arrived." When the Great Sun Immortal heard Chui'er's words, he was also stunned for a moment. Shouldn't they be happy that someone had come to their house? Why did he look so nervous? At this moment, Taoist Big Sun also saw the beautiful women behind Chui'er. Chui'er entered through the door, and the Flower Fairy also went up to greet her. "Chui'er, what's wrong?" "Miss, someone from the palace has arrived." As she spoke, Chui'er also looked towards the sky. As soon as she finished speaking, a woman's voice came from the small courtyard. "Miss, you've been out for so long. Come back with me." Upon hearing this voice, the Flower Fairy also saw the orange-robed woman in the air. She opened her mouth and said slowly to her, "Great Elder, you know what I will face if I go back. Do you still want to take me back?" The Great Elder was the person who took the most care of the Flower Fairy in the family. Moreover, he was very powerful and his strength was above the Flower Fairy's. He could even be said to be the Flower Fairy's teacher. Therefore, the Flower Fairy didn't have any intention of escaping from under her eyes. When the beautiful woman heard the Flower Fairy's words, she said without any emotion, "Miss, this is the Palace Master's intention. You should return with me." Hearing the beautiful woman's words, Chui'er also blocked the Flower Fairy and slowly said to the beautiful woman, "Great Elder, why do you think it's a pity to sacrifice Miss Happiness? Miss already has someone she likes." At this time, Chui'er also planned to use Xiao Changtian as a shield. After all, although he didn't know Xiao Changshan's character, his strength was real. At this moment, the beautiful woman heard Chui'er's words and frowned. Chui'er also said slowly to the Great Sun Immortal beside her, "Don't you think so, old man?" When Taoist Big Sun heard Chui'er's words, he did not reply. How could he know what Senior was thinking? It wouldn't be good if he said it casually. A cultivator who has just entered the divine world wants to covet the young miss. It's better for him to go mine. At this moment, Baiji saw the Grand Sun Immortal below and shouted at him. Seeing Chui'er talking to Immortal Daong, Baiji also thought that Immortal Daong was the Flower Fairy's sweetheart. Chapter 526. Lung Xiaoxiao arrives. 1. Divine Realm, a small town outside the 100,000 Mountains. In the courtyard, Baiji's true essence slowly surged in her hand. In the end, he turned into a long rainbow and attacked the Great Sun Immortal. The Great Sun Immortal looked at Baiji, who had suddenly attacked him, and did not react in time. Looking at the fatal blow, the Immortal De Yang immediately took out a blueprint from his pocket. Just as he was about to open it, he saw Baiji's rainbow turn into an icy rainbow in front of him. Bang! The moment the ice rainbow condensed, it immediately exploded. Then an ethereal female voice slowly sounded between heaven and earth. Guys, it's not good to bully the weak. When Baiji saw that her attack had been neutralized, she was also shocked. She looked up into the sky. Then, a woman dressed in blue clothes slowly appeared in everyone's line of sight. The woman slowly landed in front of the great Sun Immortal and smiled at him. Sir. Update on Biomicron X0 VL. Siomicronim, a white-robed woman appeared out of thin air beside her. The moment the two women appeared, they instantly became the most beautiful scenery in the entire courtyard. Almost everyone's eyes were focused on them. Chui'er's expression turned grave when she saw the two women. These two women were none other than Leng Mei, who had left the 100,000 mountains not long ago. The white-robed woman beside Leng Mei was Leng Xiaoxiao, who had brought her here. The orange-robed beauty looked at the two women below and slowly said to them, "Fellow Taoists, this is our Flower Fairy Palace's business. Please don't interfere." The beautiful woman felt an unprecedented pressure from Leng Mei and Leng. This pressure was something that even the palace lord of the Flower Fairy Palace had never given her. Thus, the beautiful woman was extremely polite when she spoke to Leng Mei and Leng Xiaoxiao. "We've interfered in the matters of your Flower Fairy Palace. What should you do?" Hearing the beautiful woman's words, Leng Xiaoxiao remained unmoved. Her cold voice slowly sounded. His voice revealed an unquestionable coldness that put people thousands of miles away. If it was any other time, he would have encountered cultivators like Baiji. After all, they were no different from ants in his eyes. But this time she was here to apologize to Xiao Chang Tian with a cold charm. She didn't want to cause trouble. In midair, Baiji heard Leng Xiaoxiao's words and looked at the ridiculously beautiful woman in front of her. For some reason, a wave of jealousy rose in her heart. He shouted at Leng Xiaoxiao below, "Who do you think you are? Just because you have some strength, you can be in front of my Flower Fairy Palace? Shut up." Before Baiji could finish her sentence, she was interrupted by the orange-robed beauty in midair. After berating Baiji, the orange-robed beauty slowly said to Leng Xiaoxiao, "Since fellow Taoist is here today, he'll naturally give you face. Let's go." The orange-robed beauty said to the people around her after she finished speaking. Hearing the orange-robed Bowtai's words, the others could only swallow their thoughts. They only understood that the great elder was very afraid of those two women. The women had only taken a few steps when the orange-robed beauty vanished into thin air. "Miss, come back with me. The palace needs you." The orange-colored beauty had appeared behind the Flower Fairy. The Flower Fairy's body trembled when she heard the orange-robed Bowtai's words. "Great elder." The orange-robed beauty was already resting her head on the Flower Fairy's shoulder. Just as he touched the Flower Fairy's shoulder, his entire arm was covered in ice without any warning. "Get lost." Leng Xiaoxiao's eyes flashed with white light. With a bang, the orange-robed Bowtai's arm shattered into pieces of ice. "Is fellow Taoist really going to do this?" The orange-robed beauty shouted at Leng Xiaoxiao as she covered her wound. The Flower Fairy looked at the great elder who was cut off by Leng Xiaoxiao and said slowly to her, "First elder, are you all right?" Ignoring the Flower Fairy, the beautiful woman in orange looked at Leng Xiaoxiao, turned around and flew into the distance. The orange-robed beauty knew that the test just now had already determined who was stronger. As long as Leng Xiaoxiao had any thoughts, she would spill her blood on the spot. After the orange-robed beauty left, Leng Xiaoxiao brought Leng Mei to the front of the great Sun Immortal. "Sir, can you introduce us to Senior? I've brought Mayor here to apologize to Senior." Leng Xiaoxiao's voice seemed to have a magical power. Although it revealed a coldness that rejected people thousands of miles away, it brushed past his ears. Instead, it gave off a feeling of endless aftertaste. The great Sun Immortal was also stunned on the spot. He had just sent this woman away. He came back so quickly and even brought another stunning beauty with him. The great Sun Immortal looked at Leng Xiaoxiao and Leng Mei in front of him and said slowly to them, "Senior hasn't returned yet. Please go back." Leng Xiaoxiao smiled when she heard the words of the great Sun Immortal. "Since Senior hasn't returned, then I'll wait here with little sister." As she spoke, Leng Xiaoxiao also brought Leng Mei to the side. Perhaps it was because the spiritual energy in this area was thin. The spiritual energy between heaven and earth was clearly denser than in other places. Chui'er looked at Leng Xiaoxiao and Leng Mei as if she was facing a great enemy. He protected the Flower Fairy behind him. In her opinion, Leng Mei's level of danger was no less than the Flower Fairy Palace's first elder just now. At this moment, Leng Xiaoxiao also glanced at Leng Mei. Following that, Leng Mei came in front of Chui'er and said slowly to her, "Fellow Taoist, please don't take issue with what happened in the mountains." Before she could figure out Xiao Changshan's situation, Leng Xiaoxiao had to resolve this matter no matter what. If Xiao Changtian was as powerful as he had expected, If he did this, he would be able to obtain her forgiveness. If he was just pretending to lose, he would also settle the score with him. At this moment, the sound of footsteps could be heard from the courtyard. Then Xiao Changtian came to the courtyard. And in front of Xiao Changtian was the fat Rongrong crawling along with the black tortoise. It wasn't that Xiao Changtian wanted to let them out. However, Xiao Changtian couldn't find the path to the courtyard, so he tried his best. He had used the old turtle as alpha, but he had not expected that following him would really lead him to Immortal De Yang. After entering the courtyard, Xiao Changtian waved at the Great Sun Immortal. The Great Sun Immortal. When Leng Xiaoxiao saw Xiao Changtian come in, she also walked towards him slowly. Chapter 527. Could this person be the creation immortal? 1. Divine Realm, Flower Fairy's courtyard. Xiao Changtian entered the yard and slowly walked towards the Grand Sun Immortal. At this moment, a cold voice entered his ears. Senior. Xiao Changtian heard the voice and looked to his side. Then he looked at Leng Xiaoxiao and Leng Mei beside him. Wasn't this girl the girl he met in the 100,000 Mountains? Could it be that this girl was scared by the turtle in the 100,000 Mountains and came looking for him? Xiao Changtian said to Leng Xiaoxiao and the others, "What are you two doing?" Leng Xiaoxiao heard Xiao Changshan's words and said slowly, "Opted on Biomicron X0 Xiomicron. Senior, I brought little sister here to thank you for sending little sister home." Hearing Leng Xiaoxiao's words, Xiao Changtian understood. So she was here to thank him for sending her back. Previously, the turtle in his house had frightened him, and he had even taken the initiative to thank him. What a good family. Xiao Changtian said slowly to Leng Xiaoxiao, "It's fine. It's what I should do." Then Xiao Changtian also walked toward the Great Sun Immortal. It's mainly because of the credit of the Great Sun Immortal. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to send the lady back so quickly. He was just immortal. There was no way to send Leng Mei back to the spirit race so quickly. Leng Xiaoxiao was stunned when she heard Xiao Changshan's words. Then he looked at the Great Sun Immortal. Taoist De Yang also smiled at Leng Xiaoxiao and then walked to the side with Leng Mei and Leng Xiaoxiao. Let me tell you, Senior is currently cultivating his heart in the mortal world, playing around in the mortal world. Don't disturb his cultivation. Mortal world tempering the heart. Could this person be a creation immortal? Hearing the words of the Great Sun Immortal, Leng Mei also exclaimed. The creation immortal was a group of people who stood at the top of the human realm upon heavens. They didn't expect that they would meet him. Yes. Little sister, we will also cooperate with Senior's cultivation later. Leng Xiaoxiao didn't doubt the words of the Great Sun Immortal at all. It was very simple. They saw Black Tortoise and the Fat Rongrong following Xiao Changtian in. The aura of the Iron Eater and the Black Tortoise could not be faked. In front of the Black Tortoise, Leng Xiaoxiao could clearly feel that her cultivation was suppressed by a lot. Not to mention Xiao Changtian was the owner of the Black Tortoise. After Xiao Changtian entered the courtyard, the Flower Fairy slowly walked towards him. "Young master, you're back." Xiao Changtian smiled at the Flower Fairy. Yes, I've already found the address. I've disturbed you recently. They'll go back with Taoist Big Sun later. When the Flower Fairy heard Xiao Changshan's words, she slowly said to him, "Young master, are you leaving so soon?" Xiao Changtian nodded at the Flower Fairy. Cui saw the sad expression on the Flower Fairy's face and slowly walked towards Xiao Changtian. "Young master, please leave as soon as possible." Cui looked at Leng Xiaoxiao and Leng Mei in the courtyard. Although they had just helped the Flower Fairy repel the first elder of the Flower Fairy Palace. However, one thing was certain. After Cui met Xiao Changtian, they were in trouble. First, Leng Mei came looking for them and then the family found them. When the Flower Fairy heard Cui's words, she slowly said to Xiao Changtian, "Young master, don't listen to Cui's nonsense. Since young master wants to leave, then I will play a song for young master." As she spoke, the Flower Fairy returned to her room and took out a zither. After Xiao Changtian played on the flower boat that day, she also had some enlightenment. Every day he would also recall the way Xiao Changtian played the zither. She slowly placed the zither on the table and began to play. Xiao Changtian didn't say anything when he saw the Flower Fairy's expression. It was not hard to understand why this person who liked to play the piano liked to compose songs. At this time, Leng Xiaoxiao and Leng Mei came to Xiao Changshan's side and said to him slowly, "Senior, look at my sister. She won't be in any trouble, right?" After learning about Xiao Changshan's situation, Leng Xiaoxiao also told Xiao Changtian the purpose of her trip. Xiao Changtian frowned when he heard Leng Xiaoxiao's words. Could it be that this girl had been scared sick last time? Following that, he slowly said to Leng Mei, "Give me your hand." When Leng Mei heard Xiao Changshan's words, he was also stunned. Then, under Leng Xiaoxiao's signal, he slowly extended his arm. Xiao Changtian grabbed Leng Mei's arm and placed his fingers on the pulse. Then he slowly said to Leng Mei and Leng Xiaoxiao, "This girl has just been frightened recently. She's fine. He'll give you a bottle of medicinal wine to bring back." Then Xiao Changtian took out a bottle of medicinal wine from his bamboo basket. Xiao Changtian had carefully selected the herbs in the courtyard to make this. Leng Mei and Leng Xiaoxiao heard Xiao Changshan's words and were delighted. It seemed that the senior had forgiven them. Leng Xiaoxiao also saw a treasure that was hard to come by in 10,000 years. With it, Leng Mei's cultivation would definitely rise rapidly. After this, it would be a great help to their holy war. At this moment, the sound of the flower fairy's zither could be heard in the courtyard. The flower fairy's zither music this time was clearly a little better than when she was on the boat. However, this zither sound was quite suitable for parting. Xiao Changtian felt a sense of sadness from the music. When the flower fairy played, she looked at Xiao Changtian. After Xiao Changtian left, she would also be leaving this small town soon. Since the people from the Flower Fairy Palace had found this place, they would definitely not give up on capturing him. He would have to find another place soon. After the song ended, the Flower Fairy slowly said to Xiao Changtian, "Young master, have a safe journey." She looked at Xiao Changtian. After Xiao Changtian entered Xiao Changtian, he didn't seem to have a good impression of her as he did on the flower boat. However, the Flower Fairy could understand. After all, she was a wandering woman. Xiao Changtian was also being hunted by his family every day. On the other hand, the two girls on the other side were powerful and extremely beautiful. If it were him, he would also want those two women. Xiao Changtian looked at the Flower Fairy and said to her, "Young lady need not be sad, most of life is about separation. Furthermore, this Xiao's departure is only temporary. We might be neighbors in the future." Hearing Xiao Changshan's words, the Flower Fairy's eyes lit up. "Will young master return?" Hearing the Flower Fairy's words, Xiao Changtian nodded at her. Chapter 528. The Situation of Human Realm Upon Heavens, 1. Divine Realm, Flower Fairy's Courtyard. Seeing Xiao Changtian nod, the Flower Fairy remembered what Xiao Changtian had said to her. It seemed like Xiao Changtian had said that he wanted to stay here. What was she thinking just now? Thinking of this, the Flower Fairy said to Xiao Changtian, "That little girl is waiting for young master to come back." Then Xiao Changtian said to Leng Mei and Leng Xiaoxiao, "Ladies, I have something to do, so I won't stay any longer." When Leng Mei and Leng Xiaoxiao heard Xiao Changshan's words, they also nodded slightly at him. Then, under the guidance of the great Sun Immortal, Xiao Changtian slowly left the town. After Xiao Changtian left, Leng Mei and Leng Xiaoxiao also disappeared into thin air. After arriving outside the Divine Realm, Leng Mei also said excitedly to Leng Xiaoxiao, "Sister, am I all right now?" Hearing Leng Mei's words, Leng Xiaoxiao also looked at her and said helplessly, "After we return, inform the others that no spiritual race member is allowed to invade this place." Update on Biomicron X0 VL. Siomicronim. In addition, we must firmly control the divine realm in the territory of our spiritual race. When Leng Mei heard Leng Xiaoxiao's words, he also said in shock, "Sister, your little sister, based on my understanding of that senior just now, this senior is probably setting up a trap in the divine realm." Set up. When Leng Mei heard Leng Xiaoxiao's words, he also looked at him and said with some doubt, "Yes, little sister. Think about it, what kind of cultivation has the human realm upon heavens relied on for so many years? Isn't it just absorbing so much luck from the lower realm? This senior came here and even stopped the heaven's gate from collecting fate in the lower realm. This means that he values the luck of the divine realm very much. It's very likely that he's playing chess with other mighty figures." Hearing Leng Xiaoxiao's words, Leng Mei also had a look as if he had just woken up from a dream. Following that, Leng Xiaoxiao continued to speak to Leng Mei, "I think Senior will let you go this time because he values the potential of our spiritual race. She wants us to become her chess pieces." Seeing Leng Xiaoxiao's grave expression, Leng Mei slowly said to her, "Then sister, isn't our clan in danger?" Hearing Leng Mei's somewhat anxious words, Leng Xiaoxiao also smiled sweetly. He slowly said to her, "Little sister, you worry too much. That senior's strength is clearly much higher than ours. If he's really a mighty figure from beyond the heavens, our spiritual race might have a chance to rise in the future if we follow him." At this moment, Leng Xiaoxiao also looked ambitious. In heavens beyond, the spiritual race was also going to wage a sacred war against an ancient race. The outcome of her battle with the clan leader would determine the fate of the entire spiritual race. Moreover, this holy war would erupt once every few hundred years. If they followed a mighty figure like Xiao Changtian, the spiritual race might be able to escape this ordeal. After Leng Mei heard Leng Xiaoxiao's words, he also nodded slowly at her. It seemed that he had benefited from this disaster. Then, as if he wanted to ask for something, Leng Mei turned to Leng Xiaoxiao and said slowly, "Sister, this is the medicinal wine that Senior gave me. How do you think I should handle it?" Leng Xiaoxiao looked at the medicinal wine in Leng Mei's hands and pondered for a moment. She then slowly said to her, "Little sister, this red wine is priceless to us. It's better not to bring him back to the clan to prevent any accidents from happening." In the spiritual race there were many spies from other factions. Leng Xiaoxiao was well aware of this, but there was nothing she could do about that was because at the same time her clan had spies in other factions. It was also because of the spies' ability to hide. With this thought in mind, Leng Mei and Leng Xiaoxiao also took a sip of the medicinal wine given by Xiao Changtian. As soon as the wine entered her stomach, Leng Xiaoxiao felt a pure energy flowing through her stomach and organs. Following that, the aura on his body also rose steadily. At this moment, Leng Mei's voice was slowly transmitted over. "Sister, I broke through." Leng Mei had opened her eyes at some point. She looked at Leng Mei in front of her and said slowly to him. To be honest, in Leng Mei's opinion, her strength could increase so quickly. It was too unbelievable. After all, she had been stuck at the true immortal level for several years and had not made any progress. On the other hand, Leng Xiaoxiao slowly absorbed the energy in her body. She also felt that the aura on her body had reached the peak of the golden immortal realm. He was faintly showing signs of breaking through to the immortal king realm. This gave her even more confidence in her battle against the ancient race. "Senior, how strong is he?" At this moment, Leng Xiaoxiao could not help but say. In the human realm upon heavens, the cultivation system underwent a new change. In the human realm upon heavens, the spiritual energy that cultivators absorbed was the spiritual energy of the immortals. It was a high-grade spiritual energy that was nurtured by the spiritual energy and providence of the lower realm. The cultivation of immortal cultivators was also divided into human immortals, earth immortals and heaven immortals. In these three realms, immortal cultivators basically did not have the qualifications to establish a force in the human realm upon heavens. Most of them relied on the other forces to survive. After the celestial immortal were the true immortals, golden immortals and immortal kings. After becoming a perfected immortal, one would have the qualifications to establish a force in heavens beyond. The sects in heavens beyond were also divided into 3, 6, and 9 grades. For a faction like the spiritual race that had a golden immortal, it was a black. If a force had an immortal king, it would be an earth-level sect. If there was an imperial immortal ancestor in the sect, it would reach the level of a sky-level sect. As for creation immortals, they were legendary existences. It was rumored that they had mastered the aura of the human realm upon heavens and the changes in the world. Even Leng Xiaoxiao and Leng Mei had never seen any creation immortal. However, it was rumored that the creation immortal could already control a divine beast. Therefore, when Leng Xiaoxiao saw Xiao Changtian, she also thought he was a creation immortal. At this moment, Leng Xiaoxiao also slowly said to Leng Mei, "Little sister, we are returning to our clan now." As soon as she finished speaking, Leng Xiaoxiao and Leng Mei turned into a stream of light and flew towards the spiritual race. On the other side, Xiao Changtian slowly arrived on the Tianyuan continent under the lead of Taoist Great Sunday. After returning to Daong town, Xiao Changtian said to the Great Sun Immortal, "Taoist Big Sun, please help me inform D. Tian that I've found the address." When the Great Sun Immortal heard Xiao Changshan's words, he nodded at him. Then Xiao Changtian slowly walked towards his own courtyard. After working for a while, he finally got the address. Chapter 529. This system doesn't treat itself as a human. 1. Tianyuan continent, Xiao Changshan's courtyard. At this moment, in the backyard of Xiao Changshan's courtyard, D. Tian and Taoist Big Sun slowly stood before Xiao Changtian. "Senior, D. Tian has already arrived." Taoist De Yang brought D. Tian along as he spoke to Xiao Changtian. Xiao Changtian stared at D. Tian as he smiled at him. "D. Tian, I've already chosen the location of your divine court. Let's go over and take a look." D. Tian felt joy in his heart when he heard Xiao Changshan's words. He said slowly to Xiao Changtan, "Sorry to trouble Senior." During this period of time, he and the 10 great generals of the divine court had also been recuperating. After recovering to his peak, he wanted to find Xiao Changtian. Update on Biomicron X0 VL. Xiaomicron M. They didn't expect that Taoist Master De Yang would come to them directly. Hence, Di Tian immediately followed Taoist Big Sun to Xiao Changshan's place. It's not troublesome. At this moment Xiao Changtian also waved his hand at Di Tian. It wasn't anything particularly difficult. In addition, he wasn't doing this entirely to help Di Tian. This was the system's mission. Then Xiao Changtian slowly said to the Great Sun Immortal, "Perfected De Yang, please take us there." When the Great Sun Immortal heard Xiao Changshan's words, he nodded at him. Then, with a wave of his hand, a fiery red blanket appeared in front of Xiao Changtian and the others. "Di Tian, let's go over and take a look." When Di Tian heard Xiao Changshan's words, he also nodded his head. After that, under the lead of Taoist Big Sun, Di Tian and the other two flew towards the 100,000 mountains of the Divine Realm. Xiao Changtian also wanted to finish this as soon as possible. This way he could also quickly open his invincible path. Soon Xiao Changtian and the others slowly arrived at the Divine World under the guidance of the Great Sun Immortal. Looking at the 100,000 mountains in front of him, the Immortal De Yang also slowly placed the blanket at the entrance of the 100,000 mountains. After getting off the blanket, Xiao Changtian turned to Di Tian and Taoist De Yang, who were behind him, and spoke slowly, "Come with me." Di Tian stared at the endless mountain range before him as he sighed in his heart. This 100,000 mountains was a famous forbidden area in the Divine Realm previously. Only this kind of place was qualified to enter Senior's eyes. He brought Di Tian, Taoist De Yang and the others through the valley. Xiao Changtian also came to the familiar lake. Xiao Changtian didn't encounter any ferocious beasts along the way. It wasn't that all the demonic beasts in the 100,000 mountains had died, but after Xiao Changshan's massacre here last time, no demonic beast dared to block Xiao Changshan's path. Looking at the lake in front of him, Xiao Changtian said slowly, "Xiao Hail Bang, Bang, Bang." As Xiao Changshan's voice faded, the lake in front of him started to surge. The water on the surface of the lake kept surging. In the end, Xiao He also slowly surfaced from the bottom of the lake. Seeing Blackie, Xiao Changtian waved at him. Although this demon beast had just entered the sect, it seemed to have played well with the old turtle last time. Xiao Changtian also planned to leave it here. Perhaps it could help him intimidate some invaders in the future. Taoist Big Sun and Di Tian stared at the black flood dragon floating on the surface of the water, slowly swimming towards them. They looked at each other and saw some shock in each other's eyes. Although Di Tian's strength had increased greatly, he could still sense that he was not strong enough. This black flood dragon had also reached the peak of Emperor God Realm and was a half-step human immortal. If it wasn't for the supreme kick Xiao Changtian gave him last time, he was probably no match for the black water dragon. He did not expect that Senior would actually bring such a divine beast to this lake and raise it as a pet. At this moment, Blackie also slowly came to the lakeside. After Xiao Changtian left, Blackie immediately scouted the island. After realizing that he did not lose too many treasures, he heaved a sigh of relief. From the looks of it, only those few spirit bamboos were taken away by the fat Rongrong, the other things were untouched. He didn't expect Xiao Changtian to return so quickly. "Xiao He, bring us there," Xiao Changtian said slowly to the Blackwater Dragon. Blackie didn't dare to say anything after hearing Xiao Changshan's words. His body slowly moved, indicating for Di Tian and Xiao Changtian to come up. It was not that he did not want to resist, but he really could not win. Xiao Changtian was already scary enough, and now he brought Di Tian with him. From Di Tian's body, the Black Flood Dragon could also sense a message that was far stronger than its own. Soon Xiao Changtian and the others arrived at the island under the guidance of the Blackwater Dragon. "Di Tian, what do you think of this island? I feel that it's quite suitable to establish the divine court here. And this is Xiao He, a demonic beast that has just entered the sect not long ago. We can communicate more with him in the future." At this moment, Xiao Changtian also started to introduce the place to Di Tian. When Di Tian heard Xiao Changshan's words, he hurriedly nodded his head. Senior's kindness to Di Tian will never forget it. After speaking, Di Tian wanted to kneel down in front of Xiao Changtian. Di Tian had also sensed the entire island earlier. Even the divine court, which was at its peak in the past, wouldn't want to give up on the resources on this island. From the looks of it, they were all treasures produced in the 100,000 mountains. Xiao Changtian hurriedly stopped Di Tian from kneeling when he saw his actions. "Di Tian, you're treating me like an outsider." He was just looking for an address. If he didn't know, he would think that he had given her a villa. Now that he had the address, the construction was a big problem. Di Tian was helped up by Xiao Changtian. The demonic beast smiled at Xiao Changtian. Thank you, Senior. Di Tian also knew that Xiao Changtian didn't like those formalities. But he was too agitated earlier. He believed that if the divine court was re-established here, it would not be qualified to enter the human realm upon heavens. After Tian Yuan and the others arrived, Di Tian also realized the importance of increasing his strength. At this moment, the system's voice slowly sounded in Xiao Changshan's mind. Ding dong. The host has completed the site selection mission. Di Tian and Taoist De Yang are extremely satisfied with the location chosen by the host. The following rewards will be given to the host. 9 Heavens Rake. Please check. A new mission is now assigned to the host. Build the main palace on the deserted island. Hearing the system's voice, Xiao Changtian cursed in his heart. This damn system, I've been so busy for so long. He actually gave himself a 9 Heavens Rake. To put it bluntly, it was just a hoe. He even told him that he would build the main hall next. Wasn't this hinting that he would be a free laborer? This system really didn't treat itself as a human. Chapter 530, Task Assignment, 1. Divine Realm 100,000 Mountains. Xiao Changtian cursed silently in his heart. He then turned to Taoist Big Sun and Di Tian and slowly spoke, if there's no problem with this address of yours, then the next step is to build the main hall. Do you have any ideas? He had no choice. For the sake of his invincible path, he had to endure it. When yours truly became invincible, he would definitely throw this stupid system aside. As for Taoist De Yang and Di Tian, they exchanged glances when they heard Xiao Changshan's words. Seeing Taoist De Yang and Di Tian exchanging glances, Xiao Changtian also understood. All of them are the same, all of them are the same, all of them are the same. Di Tian was a young man who had just entered the sect not long ago. He was filled with passion and wanted to do something. In reality, the skills and knowledge he possessed were still far from enough. As for the Great Sun Immortal, he was also a formidable expert in the cultivation world. Without a doubt, the establishment of a sect would definitely be handed over to his subordinates. It seemed that he still had to rely on himself to build the main hall. As he thought of this in his heart, Xiao Changtian slowly spoke to Taoist De Yang and Di Tian. How about this, perfected Great Sun? See if you can construct a teleportation array to connect this place to Great Sun Town. At this moment, Xiao Changtian recalled the time when he was repairing his courtyard in Dayang Town. There were still some bricks and mud left in the courtyard. That was something that he had worked so hard to make. He could not waste it. The Great Sun Immortal also looked troubled when he heard Xiao Changshan's words. This 100,000 mountains was very far away from Dayang Town, and this senior had asked him to construct a teleportation array. How could he do that? He couldn't say that he knew a little about spatial power. He simply didn't know anything about it. As for Di Tian, when he saw the troubled look on Taoist De Yang's face, he also slowly spoke to Xiao Changtian. Senior, leave the construction of the teleportation formation to me. When Xiao Changtian heard Di Tian's words, he also cast a glance at him. After that, he turned to look at Taoist De Yang. This Di Tian, a cultivator who had just entered the sect, would have no problem building a teleportation array. After sensing Xiao Changshan's gaze, the Great Sun Immortal nodded slowly. After seeing Taoist De Yang nodding his head, Xiao Changtian slowly spoke to Di Tian. In that case, I'll leave it to you, Di Tian. Since Taoist De Yang felt that there was no problem with Di Tian, then there shouldn't be any problem. After all, the Great Sun True Man was a powerful cultivator. Then Xiao Changtian continued to speak to the Great Sun Immortal. In that case, Taoist Big Sun, help me find a few construction workers who can work hard. Use more strength. At this moment, Xiao Changtian also reminded the Great Sun Immortal. Xiao Changtian had also seen the system's request when he was checking the system's mission. The main hall could not be built casually. It had to be sturdy enough to pass through. After hearing Xiao Changshan's words, the Great Sun Immortal also said to Xiao Changtian slowly, Senior, I wonder who can reach your standards. Xiao Changtian also glanced at him when he heard the words of the Great Sun Immortal. Shouldn't this immortal Dayang be clearer than him in this aspect? As an immortal cultivator, it was probably impossible for him to tell how strong and energetic a person was. However, since the Great Sun Immortal asked, Xiao Changtian slowly took out the 9 Heavens rake from his ring. It's enough to work all day with this. The moment Xiao Changtian took out the rake, Di Tian and Taoist De Yang both sucked in a breath of cold air. When the 9 Heavens rake came out just now, they clearly felt the spiritual power of heaven and earth tremble. Moreover, the aura emitted by the 9 Heavens rake made them feel that their lives were in danger. The rake that Senior took out was probably a high-grade immortal artifact. At this time Xiao Changtian also said to the great Sun Immortal slowly, "Taoist Big Sun, is there a problem?" When the great Sun Immortal heard Xiao Changshan's words, he shook his head at him. He had just failed to complete the teleportation array mission. If this didn't work, the seniors might not even put him in an important position. Although it would be difficult to find him, the immortal De Yang believed that he would have a chance to find him. Xiao Changtian heard the words of the great Sun and said slowly to the two of them, "Then let's do it this way. Let's hurry up and finish building the main hall as soon as possible." After that, Xiao Changtian also walked towards the deserted island. He was also going to make ceramic tiles or something. There was no other way. The system required the tiles he made to meet the standard. This lousy system just didn't want him to live a good life for a few days. After Taoist Dayang and Di Tian heard Xiao Changshan's words, he immediately left the 100,000 mountains and began to get busy. At the same time, in heavens beyond, the spirit race at this moment, a few mountains within the spiritual race were ablaze. A man dressed in dark red stood in the air above the spiritual race. The man looked at the fleeing members of the spiritual race and revealed a devilish smile. Leng Xiaoxiao actually left the spiritual race at this time of the sacred war. It's obvious that she has given up on you. How pitiful. Why don't we give you a chance to become slaves of our ancient fire tribe? The man laughed loudly in the air after he finished speaking. At this moment, the members of the spiritual race below shouted at the man in the sky, "Chenyang, don't get carried away. When the clan leader returns, you will definitely be in trouble." Chen Yang's smile grew wider when he heard the voices of the spiritual race members below. "Then where is your clan leader now?" "Ah." Not long after Leng Xiaoxiao left the Ling clan, Chen Yang received the news. Under the push of all parties, Chen Yang led the ancient fire tribe to attack the spiritual race. He wanted to catch the spiritual race off guard. At this moment, an icy cold voice was slowly transmitted from the outside world. "Chen Yang, the time for the sacred war hasn't come yet. You attacked my spiritual race. Have you ever thought of staying here forever?" Hearing this cold and angry voice, Chen Yang also looked towards the void in front of him. "Leng Xiaoxiao, you're here. You're quite arrogant. This sacred war was initiated by our ancient fire tribe. What's wrong with starting it early?" As he spoke, a burst of spiritual energy was released from Chen Yang's body. Bang. Then, a powerful pressure came from Chen Yang's body, suppressing everyone. "You have to know that I have broken through to the golden immortal realm." Chapter 531, Holy War of the Spirit Race 1. Heavens Beyond, Spirit Race. The pressure of a golden immortal on Chen Yang's body slowly rippled between heaven and earth. Then, everyone present felt as if there was a huge rock on their chest. He was a little suffocated by the pressure. Leng Xiaoxiao looked at Chen Yang and sneered. Then, a similarly powerful aura burst out from his body. Bang. Leng Xiaoxiao's unique golden immortal pressure was also slowly released. For a moment, the pressure that the morning sun gave to everyone present was slowly offset. The spiritual race cultivators looked at Leng Xiaoxiao and cheered. The patriarch has also broken through. Chen Yang gritted his teeth when he heard the cheers from the spiritual race below. Previously, he and Leng Xiaoxiao were both in the perfected immortal realm, and their strength was also comparable. However, in recent years, he had broken through to the golden immortal realm and stabilized his cultivation. Chen Yang also wanted to strike first before Leng Xiaoxiao had a breakthrough. He would defeat the entire spiritual race and end the war between the two races. He did not expect Leng Xiaoxiao to have a breakthrough at this time. "No wonder you left the spiritual race at this time. You want a breakthrough." Chen Yang looked at Leng Xiaoxiao and said slowly. He finally understood why Leng Xiaoxiao had left the spiritual race at this time. If he broke through in the spiritual race, then with his spies in the spiritual race he would know very quickly. With this thought in mind, Chen Yang's figure also took the lead to move. He charged towards Leng Xiaoxiao. "It seems that I have just broken through. Let me see how much power a golden immortal like you can unleash." Having failed to act tough just now, Chen Yang was also unhappy. He had thought that everyone present would be terrified when he released his golden immortal cultivation base. There was also Leng Xiaoxiao, who had a cold expression. He had thought that he would give her a huge shock this time, but he did not expect that he would still fail. Leng Xiaoxiao saw Chen Yang coming at her and also threw a palm at him. He fought against Chen Yang. Bang. The two palms collided, and Leng Xiaoxiao and Chen Yang both retreated. However, it seemed that there was no change in his clothes. Leng Xiaoxiao's long hair, which was originally tied up, had indeed spread out. From this clash, everyone present could tell. In this clash, Lung Xiaoxiao was at a disadvantage. At this moment, the ancient fire tribe cultivators looked at the morning sun in the sky and began to cheer. Patriarch is mighty. The spiritual race cultivators looked at each other when they heard the ancient fire race cultivators' shouts. Looking at Lung Xiaoxiao who was in the air, his expression was a little worried. At this moment, Qinyang also took out a fire gourd from his pocket. The fire gourd appeared in Qinyang's hand, and the temperature between heaven and earth rose a little. Flame dragon kill. Qinyang held the fire gourd and shouted. Then a fiery red light flashed in the morning sun. Waves of high-temperature flames burst out from the fire gourd in Qinyang's hand. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The flames circled around Qinyang's body and finally condensed into the shape of a fire dragon. Roar, roar, roar. Then the fire dragon roared and attacked Lung Xiaoxiao. Lung Xiaoxiao looked at the incoming fire dragon and did not show any signs of weakness. True essence similarly surged in her hands, and waves of true intent of ice appeared from her hands. Ice seal 10,000 miles. Roar, roar, roar. A similar roar was heard, but a silver dragon was circling around Lung Xiaoxiao. As soon as the ice dragon appeared, it also banged its fangs and brandished its claws as it collided with the fire dragon. Bang! When the fire dragon and ice dragon collided, a powerful wave of air was released. Then Lung Xiaoxiao and Qinyang flew out. A trace of blood flowed out of Lung Xiaoxiao's mouth. Lung Xiaoxiao, so what if you broke through to Golden Immortal with the gourd? At this moment, a voice slowly entered Lung Xiaoxiao's ears. Sister, use this. Then Lung Xiaoxiao saw Lung Mei throw a wine bottle at her. Wasn't this the bottle that Senior used to store medicinal wine? Could it also be a celestial artifact? Lung Xiaoxiao looked at the wine bottle in her hand and tried to inject her true essence into it. Then Lung Xiaoxiao felt the wine bottle in her hand shake. Bang! A clear stream of water flew out from the bottle. The clear stream turned into a drizzle in the air and fell down. Then the flames released by the ancient fire tribe slowly extinguished where the clear stream landed. He watched as the flames on several mountain peaks of the spiritual race were extinguished. At this moment, Qinyang's figure also moved. He floated in the air and said to Xiao Changtan, Lung Xiaoxiao, I didn't expect you to hide it so well. There's still such a celestial artifact in my hands. As he said that, Qinyang controlled the burning sky gourd. Heaven burning wrath. Qinyang's hand gestures changed as he shouted. Following that, the burning sky gourd also emitted bursts of flames. Qinyang's actions seemed to have angered bottle of wine. In Lung Xiaoxiao's hand, the wine bottle took the initiative to absorb Lung Xiaoxiao's vital essence. It turned into an even larger clear stream in the air. Then, the clear stream changed and slowly transformed into the figure of the black tortoise. Your flames are too inferior compared to the old hens. The black tortoise's majestic voice came out of nowhere. Then, the burning sky gourd seemed to sense danger and retracted the flames it had released. His figure also quickly flew away from Qinyang's palm. Seeing the burning sky gourd take the initiative to leave him, Qinyang was also a little dumbfounded. A palm print appeared on his palm, and he slowly said to the direction where the burning sky gourd had left, Come back here. The burning sky gourd was a precious treasure of their clan. It had protected them for tens of thousands of years. How could it leave on its own? At this moment, Qinyang looked at Lung Xiaoxiao with fear in his eyes. The fact that the gourd could escape meant that the wine bottle in Lung Xiaoxiao's hand was more than one level higher than the gourd. Lung Xiaoxiao was also stunned when she saw the burning sky gourd leave Chenyang City. He didn't expect Xiao Changtian to be so intimidating to Jiang Jiuzi. It seemed that Senior had already calculated for this to happen since he would give little sister the medicinal wine. With that thought in mind, Lung Xiaoxiao also looked at Chenyang. Qinyang felt Lung Xiaoxiao's gaze and said to her timidly, Lung Xiaoxiao, if you have a book, then fight with your own abilities. What kind of ability is using a celestial artifact? You can use celestial artifacts too. Do you have one? At this moment, Lung Mei was also mocking Qinyang from the side. Chapter 532, Picking Up a Nine-Toothed Rake. 1. Heavens Beyond. Spirit Race. After Qinyang heard Lung Mei's words, he also almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Why was this little girl's mouth so vicious? Then he turned into a stream of light and ran out. Qinyang escaped. The spiritual race cultivators said excitedly when they saw Qinyang fleeing. Before this, Qinyang had been showing off in front of the spirit race. The spiritual race cultivators were delighted to see Qinyang fleeing in a sorry state. When the ancient fire tribe cultivators saw their tribe leader run away, they were shocked. Without much hesitation he walked towards the exit of the spiritual race. Leng Xiaoxiao looked at the direction where Qinyang had left and snorted coldly. She pointed at the direction where he had left. Instantly, an extremely fine ice needle slowly appeared in his hand. Whoosh! The ice needles pierced through layers of void space and attacked Qinyang. Ah! The ice needle pierced through Qinyang's arm and Qinyang screamed in the air. Leng Xiaoxiao, I will take revenge for today and the future. Leng Xiaoxiao looked at the direction where Qinyang had left. Her gaze was cold, but she did not chase after him. Just now, Qinyang had paid the price of losing his arm to save his own life. Now Leng Xiaoxiao couldn't find him either. After all, if a golden immortal were to escape with all his might, it would not be easy for him to stop him. After Qinyang escaped, Leng Xiaoxiao glanced at the spiritual race below. He slowly said, Cultivators of the spiritual race, return to your respective peaks and strengthen the defenses of the spiritual race. As Leng Xiaoxiao finished speaking, the spiritual race cultivators began to organize themselves and return to their own mountain peaks. A void in the human realm upon heaven's bang. At this moment the entire void trembled. Then a wormhole slowly appeared in this space. A figure slowly walked out of the wormhole. It was Qinyang who had escaped from the spiritual race. At this moment Qinyang's left shoulder was already covered in blood. He looked at the slowly closing wormhole behind him. He could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Leng Xiaoxiao, what kind of fortuitous encounter did she obtain this time? There was actually such a powerful immortal artifact. With this thought in mind, Qinyang slowly said to the ancient fire tribe members behind him, Qi Yin, did you find anything out where Leng Xiaoxiao went? After discovering that Leng Xiaoxiao had left the spiritual race, Qinyang sent someone to investigate. As Qinyang finished speaking, a man with dyed red hair came to his side. After slowly bowing to Qinyang, Crimson Flame also said slowly to Qinyang, reporting to the clan leader, we still haven't found out where Leng Xiaoxiao went. However, I did capture a cultivator from the lower realm who claimed to know the information that the patriarch wanted. Oh, who is it? Hurry up and bring it up. At this time, Qinyang also said angrily to Crimson Flame in front of him. Hearing Qinyang's words, Qi Yin also waved to the cultivators behind him. Then a man was brought to Qinyang by a few ancient fire tribe cultivators. Seeing the man's appearance, Qinyang also slowly said to him, Lower realm cultivators? After Qinyang finished speaking, the man slowly said to Qinyang, reporting to my lord as a divine eye, I came from the lower realm's heavenly gate. That's right, the person brought by Crimson Flame was the divine eye. After the divine eye separated from Leng Mei, it observed that the situation was not right and also wanted to hurry back to the divine gate. He didn't expect to meet Qi Yin, who had just come to investigate Leng Xiaoxiao. He was grabbed by Crimson Flame and they started a conversation. The divine eye also knew that Qinyang wanted to deal with Leng Xiaoxiao and the others. After feeling that Leng Mei did not value him, the divine eye also had a new idea. Lower realm Qi Yin, you said he knew where Leng Xiaoxiao went. Isn't this a joke? Take him down and chop him up. As he spoke, Qinyang waved his hand at the surrounding cultivators. Having just escaped from the spirit race, Qinyang was in a bad mood. When he saw the divine eye, he was immediately vexed. When the divine eye heard Qinyang's words, it also slowly said to Qinyang, My lord, Leng Mei and Leng Xiaoxiao were brought to the divine realm by me. Their strength was also obtained there. Qinyang glanced at her when she heard the divine eye's words. Then tell me, what kind of place is the divine realm? I won't hide it from you, my lord. There's a divine white tiger and a true immortal there. As he spoke, the eyes of the divine eye shone brightly. Following that, the image of Leng Mei entering the 100,000 mountains slowly appeared in front of Qinyang. Qinyang looked at the scene created by the divine eye and waved his hand at the surrounding cultivators. The cultivators who were holding the divine eye let go of his arm. At this moment, Qinyang also said slowly to the divine eye, Tell me the details and I'll allow you to join my ancient fire tribe. Hearing Qinyang's words, the divine eye's eyes lit up. Then she told Qinyang everything she knew. After hearing the divine eye's words, Qinyang also slowly said to him, Are you saying that Leng Xiaoxiao might have received a gift from the white tiger, which is why she has become so powerful? That's really a bit troublesome. Seeing Qinyang's worried face, the divine eye also slowly said to Qinyang, My lord, I can make you gain the favor of the white tiger with one technique, but, at this point, the divine eye hesitated. Seeing the god eye's hesitation, Qinyang said to him slowly, What's wrong? If you have any questions, just say it directly. We might need some resources from you. I think that white tiger will help Lung Xiaoxiao. Lung Xiaoxiao must have given him a lot of cultivation resources. Qin Yang nodded when he heard the divine eye's words. Then he gritted his teeth and took off the ring on his finger. He said slowly to the divine eye, "Take this ring first. It's up to you to move the white tiger. If you succeed, you'll be the greatest contributor to our spiritual race." As he spoke, Qin Yang patted God Eye's shoulder. It was as if he had seen the hope of revenge. The divine eye took the ring from Qin Yang and bowed slightly to him. Then Qin Yang also said slowly to Crimson Flame beside him, "Crimson Flame, go with divine eye. They'll wait for your return in the clan." Crimson Flame heard Qin Yang's words and nodded at him. Then Crimson Flame also took the divine eye and flew towards the direction of the divine world. At the same time in the divine world, the great sun immortal stood on his fiery red carpet and circled around the divine realm. These few days he had been looking for cultivators who could move the nine heavens rake in the divine world. However, he couldn't find any of them. Even the elders of the sects looked at him in fear when they saw the nine heavens rake. If this went on, when would he be able to complete the task given to him by his senior? You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.